Glacier was the...
Hola. Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is still spinning on those ones and twos. And we are still here with Candidate Month. And we have another candidate in the studio this time.
Yes.
She was a Green Party member. Now she's running as a Democrat. She is an activist, a mother of 5 children, a Los Angeles native. Angelica Duenas is in the house. How you doing, Angela?
Yes. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me here.
Did I do good with your name?
You did. Duenas.
Finally. Thank you so much for coming in. You ran as a Green candidate last time. A lot of the progressive community support you. I believe you were endorsed by Our Revolution National, and even as a Green, which was awesome. And now you are running as a Democrat. So give us your top 3 issues and why.
Yes, well, we have a lot of issues that we are fighting for, but definitely Medicare for all is on our top 3. Mm-hmm. Affordable housing is on our top 3. It's really affecting our community. And a Green New Deal, because a Green New Deal, and our version of Green New Deal is super well-rounded, where it actually addresses a lot of other issues all in one. So those are our top 3 issues. But, I mean, we have a complete platform on our website.
So 1, 2, and 3. What are they again?
Medicare for all.
Number 1.
Affordable housing.
2.
Green New Deal.
3.
Yes.
Gotcha. Where are you getting your money from? Is it all small donations? You get any PAC money there?
100% small donations. We have
no oligarchs?
0 billionaire money, 0 PAC money. None.
Why wouldn't oligarchs want to support Angelica Duenas?
Well, we are very much for everyone paying for their fair share, including mega corporations. We believe that corporations aren't people, so we are all about, ending Citizens United. Mm-hmm. We are about, and getting big money out of politics. Mm-hmm. So, we are for the things that these folks do not want anybody in an elected position to be able to champion. So, I don't think that we would inspire any of those guys to donate our way.
There's no way they want to help out Angelica. Why'd you run as a Democrat this time? Last time you ran as a Green.
Yes.
Why the switch? Because a lot of people got behind you. Even Fiorella said you were endorsed by Our Revolution National as a Green. Why switch?
No. We did a great, we were the only, and I think up until now, the only campaign endorsed by National for as a Green. Mm-hmm. So we did a lot of great work, you know what I mean? And under the circumstances, we did amazingly. Greens are less than 0.5% of the registered voter in our district, and we got 6.5% of the vote.
That's awesome.
We spend a lot of time and energy explaining to our district, our community, what Green Party was, and there's a lot of things that I feel that unfortunately we live in a duopoly. Like, let's be serious. If things were different, we'd have ranked choice voting, proportional representation, and have everybody have a voice at the table. But we live in a system that it's a duopoly. So what we are, looking for is to really have a really good chance on getting in there and making these changes happen. Mm-hmm. We don't have time to waste. We don't have that luxury. And this being a presidential year, and we knew that Bernie Sanders was going to be running again, we really wanted to be in a position to fully be able to support Bernie Sanders in every way possible.
Right, because he says he can't do this alone. It's going to take people, standing up and running for Congress. And so thank you for running. I asked this to our last guest, Shahid Buttar, because homelessness is a massive, massive crisis here in the state of California, all over the country, but specifically in major cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, where you're running. Your district is Congressional District 29, I believe, and it's North Hollywood. It is the Valley, parts of Pacoima. There are many tent cities there encroaching. How do you specifically plan to deal with that policy-wise? What can you do to help alleviate this crisis?
Absolutely. Well, we believe in a housing first, platform or approach. I think that a lot of cities are coming around to that, and I think Los Angeles is finally coming around to that, where instead of making people jump through hoops and putting in all of these barriers before getting housing, we need to get people housed, and after that, we can go ahead and have some wraparound services. So that's our main focus, to get housing for homeless individuals and affordable housing for those people who are not homeless but we are on the brink. We are all just 1 or 2 paychecks away from being in that situation. So what we're hearing from our community is that, you know, people are either being forced to go out into the streets, into their cars, or we have like 10 people living in an apartment where, you know, normally it would be 5 people or 4 people. So we are in a crisis situation, and we need to make more affordable housing and low income housing, you know what I mean? Like actual low income housing. 100% low income buildings is what need to be approved. None of this mess that right now that we have, that people are saying, oh, 25, 10%. At the end of it all, it's like 1 or 2 units. And there's nothing that we can do to give them any consequences for promising one thing and doing another. So we need to make sure that we have these policies in place where, one, we're building more affordable housing, and that we are making sure that we're holding people accountable to these promises and to these agreements that they're making.
What about bridge housing? Where do you stand on bridge housing?
I think that it's really good. I think it's a good start. You know what I mean? That's something that we definitely need. There's people who need to get off the street now.
Right.
And we definitely need to go towards that. I'm also concerned with like the nonprofit industrial complex and how that is also affecting the situation. You know, we're seeing that there is these organizations that are doing really good work, you know what I mean, and doing great services. But at the same time, you're seeing that there's quite a few people within that organization making more money than a congressman or the mayor of Los Angeles.
Right.
And when you're servicing a portion of the city, a portion of the population, it kind of doesn't make sense to me. So it's kind of like a mixed situation. And from what I've been hearing too, the people who are on the ground actually servicing and doing the face-to-face with the homeless population, unhoused population, they are not being paid like what I feel like, you know what I mean, that, you know, being in that sort of position should be, you know, valued. So, I mean, that there's a lot to be said, but I think that that's definitely, the work is great. The goals I agree with. I think that, you know, a lot of these positions should be roles that should be government employees, where, you know, they are union and they are, you know, they have benefits and they have protection and they're in a safe, you know, workspace, and that they're also servicing the homeless population, and there's so much bureaucracy and money that gets wasted in between. That's my main concern. But I definitely agree with bridge housing. I believe that there's going to be folks too that have like there's like these housing units now, they're independent living, but at the bottom there's like all these services and they're available, and they're not forced to do it. They have the option, and they have the availability to utilize the services or not, but housing is a right. They're being treated with respect, and that's something that we need to move towards. Because I believe that if you're out in the streets and your future is looking grim, like, what is your motivation to get out of, you know, whatever escape you might be, you know, in. But if you are housed and you know you're going to be safe, and that you know that tomorrow you're going to have, you know, somewhere to sleep, something to eat, that would really inspire you to move forward and make those necessary changes. So I think that we need to look at all of it. You know what I mean? Even in a local level, I think that, you know, local entities like the city council should be using their eminent domain powers to take over these bank-owned homes and make those be available to, you know, Section 8 and other, you know, things that we can be. Well, they say like for every unhoused person, there's like 3 to 5 homes, not rooms or like space, homes, like full-on homes that are empty because they're bank-owned in Los Angeles. So. Those are things that, you know, we need to take a look at all of these things for a solution. Is not going to be what we've been doing. Just building is not the solution, because there's a lot of buildings that we can repurpose, right? And a lot of buildings that are already there that are empty that we should be able to utilize.
But you know, the homeless number is growing though, right? You know, and we keep building houses. We're not going to be able to keep up with it. So
luxury homes.
We're building luxury homes.
But if we start building housing for the homeless right now, and the homeless population keeps growing, it seems like we will never be able to tackle the problem. In your mind, what is the number one systemic problem when it comes to homelessness in America, and particularly in your district?
I think it's a mixture of lack of rent control. So we have people who are, you know, are just not able to afford to be, you know, to pay the rents anymore. and also the lack of access to or medical care.
Yep.
So ever since like the 80s on this way, we've been seeing just a purging of all of these services. People who genuinely need to be more than just housing, like really like 24/7 care,
Yeah.
are on the street, and instead of being cared for, they are being left out to die and freeze to death. I mean, we just had somebody who died in the steps of City Hall.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is what's happening. We're seeing that people are being pushed to the streets like if they're a piece of trash.
Yeah.
And has been happening since I was a kid. So we're seeing that it's a lack of both these things. It's healthcare for a good significant portion of the population, but affordable housing.
Yeah.
When we're hearing that 40+% of people who are unhoused in Los Angeles are working,
Yeah.
that's really like telling.
That's it. I want to point out that you two ladies next to me, you've done such great activists when it comes to homelessness. I've been out there, your push for bridge housing and all the work you've done, and I've seen you out in the streets. That's where we met. And yesterday was one of those days. It was a cold day in LA, and I was taking the train home, and just seeing the homeless people get on the train, it really is. It's heartbreaking. I don't mean to, take the conversation somewhere else. I mean, I want to talk about homelessness, but what you see every day, it's saddening and it's hard. And I'm glad you're in to tackle that fight and get on it.
And I agree with you. Medicare for all is necessary to combat homelessness, definitely, and also rent control. Housing as a human right might be something as well that somebody like Bernie Sanders is also pushing. Another thing I think on the local level, you kind of touched on it, is the planning, like the city planning. What city council or the city council members can do is pretty much incorporate planning. Like, we're building a new library, we're building a new park. We need to make sure we're building houses that are affordable, or just allocating that directly for to homeless people who are homeless, and putting them in that household. Now, people might think that is a socialist concept, but at the end of the day, that's what it's going to take to curtail this, right? And I take it you obviously support the mechanisms of federal jobs guarantee with the Green New Deal.
Yes, absolutely. We have a pretty well-rounded Green New Deal on our website, and we're actually speaking with other candidates. There's one gentleman, I forget his name, he's running in Oregon. He has a very, very detailed plan, and so we're actually looking at it very closely.
That's wonderful.
And we, and it's like how to actually implement it. It's brilliant. So we've gotten about 80% through it. Once we complete the whole thing, and if we feel that we can incorporate it, with his permission, which he has given already, we're going to be integrating that into our platform. So we want to make sure that people understand that we're taking this very seriously, and that we're looking at and we're listening to lots of people. It's not just about about us and what we're thinking insularly, in our campaign, but we're really genuinely looking at other solutions and other areas. Utah and what they're doing, and how other countries. What are the solutions that are working, and how can we incorporate that into our platform so that people understand that we are taking this very, very seriously. I'm a mother. I am an activist. I really genuinely care about my community, and I want to make sure that people understand that just because we don't have experience, being an elected official. I do have experience with policy and reading policy. I'm a human resources professional. Part of that is making sure that you're on top of policy. So we are very careful in regards to our decision making, and we are very open to hearing out other people's ideas. And if there's room to fit into our platform, we want to hear you out.
Yeah.
We saw you at the No War with Iran rally. You said you were happy to see a decent amount of people there, but you felt like there should be more people there. Obviously, I agree with you. Why do you think so many Americans are so aloof to the U.S. imperialism, and there's like that disconnect around what's happening around the world?
Can we show the video real quick, real quickly?
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
this is you in action here, and I was so happy to see, because it's great that we see a lot of candidates out there pushing for a lot of things, but I was looking for a candidate out there, any candidate, and I saw you there. And I know you're big on Medicare for All, Green New Deal, but to see you pay such attention to detail, what's going on in foreign policy, I think it's huge. Here's Angelica Duenas. To catch you, Angelica Duenas for Congress is running, and she is here at an activist peace rally. What are you doing here today?
Well, I am here to protest the war in Iran and all wars, really. The war on drugs, the war in Iraq, the one in Afghanistan. Every single bullshit ass war that we have going on right now, we're here to stand up against it. Honestly, I was on a vacation with my family up in the hills, up in the mountains, and when I came back down, this was going on. And I could not believe it. And so when I heard that there was a protest already happening this Saturday, I decided that I needed to be here. We needed to be here. And I'm so grateful that we have such a decent turnout. I'll say decent because it's better than the last one, but it should be 1,000 times bigger.
Yeah.
1,000 times bigger.
Yeah. Right?
Yes.
Why do you think people are so aloof?
I mean, I think it's a mixture of, the propaganda machine and what everyone's getting on the mainstream media, and the lack of personal interest. I think that if you don't have a family member, if you are not personally being affected by it, you're not coming out and speaking about it. And I think unfortunately we live in a society that people need to be personally affected or really, really, really worked up. You know what I mean? Again, with the propaganda machine, and since that's not a focus on the machine, there isn't a push for a peace movement. If anything, it becomes something else. It's like an anti-Trump thing, and you know what I mean? Very specific when it's like, well, obviously Trump sucks, and I think that's clear. Like, let's move on. You know what I mean? Let's actually address the issues. And I think it's a mixture of that. And the last time we saw a really, really, really strong peace movement was back in Vietnam, and we had a draft. And at that point, it was the thought was that everybody in every man of a certain age was game. And at that point, everyone had something to risk. You had a family member, you had a son, a brother, a cousin, or something like that. And so people were out there, on the streets. And right now, since we have it's a volunteer system where mainly the poor and people of color are affected, we're not seeing a focus with the media, the mainstream media, for a peace movement.
I think what you just said right there is just so on the nose. Yeah, we get it. Trump's bad, duh. Yeah. But the military-industrial complex, and you even echoing that what Jimmy Dore was saying, all wars are bullshit, and you were like, these bullshit wars. But here you are talking about the military-industrial complex, noting that Trump might be bad, but it's bigger than Trump. It is the whole establishment, the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about. Mm-hmm. Here's a little bit about your statement, and then when you're done listening to this, tell us how you plan on taking on a lobby this powerful in your run for Congress right now. Go ahead, John.
I agree, too. Instead, well, let me ask you a question, too, because we heard a lot of anti-Trump voices out here today. And then we saw Jimmy Dore go on stage, and he says he wants to impeach the military-industrial complex. He was calling for some of the Democrats like Feinstein and Cory Booker or Kamala Harris, whoever's in California. Where are you at today? You decided to show up today. Will you push back against that same Democratic establishment that you're running for? I mean, who is responsible for today's actions?
Absolutely, yes. It's not as easy as just voting blue no matter who, or voting blue versus red. It's not that simple. It's not about right versus left, is right versus wrong. Yeah. And right now we have a Democrat in CA-29, and he voted for this last...
This is your opponent. Who is he?
Tony Cardenas in the East San Fernando Valley, who voted for this budget increase. But he had the audacity to put out a statement about how this is so horrendous that Trump is going outside of the powers of Congress to declare war, blah, blah, blah. But at the bottom line, how is he able to do this? Who is funding these wars? You are. You are who voted for this budget, and Tony Cardenas is one of them.
So you're saying the Democrats too also have blood on their hands when it comes to this situation?
Absolutely, yes. If you take a look at the numbers, there is quite a bunch of Democrats that voted for it. There's only a handful who did not. It's a very small list of those who did not vote for this budget increase. So it's a bipartisan deal to screw the people. Yeah. That's what we're seeing here.
Yeah. What about your choices?
So you talked about it, right? Mr. Cardenas is getting a ton of money, PAC money, corporate interest. Mm-hmm. How do you plan on beating him and beating back this lobbyist over here?
Well, we're championing a people-powered campaign. We're knocking on doors. We're making phone calls. We're doing text messaging. We are using a social media platform. I think that we're very fortunate to live in a time where things are a bit different. I have a bachelor's degree in political science. And so, back when I was in college, I did have a thought, like, of maybe running for office one day in the future. And I understood how the game goes. I started a family early. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do my internships and any of that. So there's like steps. You do your internship, maybe you get it hired on, and then you work under, you pay your dues, right? And I figured that was that. So after Bernie Sanders ran, and the type of campaign that he ran, that really gave us an idea that you can make some big strides without having to take corporate money, without having to take super PAC money. And that's the only way that you can stand with your morals and not go against the people's will. So that's one big thing, is we're not taking any corporate funding, and we're letting people know. We're also running our reports and making sure that we can get the facts out there in regards to how much our opponent has taken, so that people are very clear on the differences between Tony, corporate Democrat, and Angelica Duenas, progressive Democrat, in this 2020 race.
Yeah. They're both complicit. I mean, the Democrats and Republicans, obviously, and more. So are you fond of the squad? We know that the squad has pushed the overtone window. It is awesome that they have been elected. They are usually have been voting against these Trump's military budgets. They were one of the few people that voted to keep the NDAA that would have kept him from waging war against Iran, right? Are there any areas of concern with some of their decisions or statements? For example, AOC saying, "I will defer to the caucus leadership on Venezuela." We know that a lot of our failures are from wasteful wars, that where this money goes into fighting these wars instead of our domestic economy. How would you deal with that situation differently?
Well, I guess I would hope that we would be able to stand with our, stand our ground on the issues and not be pressured into anything along those lines. I think that when you're on the spot, it might be a little different, and sometimes things come out a certain way. I think that I've heard myself on interviews and like, "Oh, I didn't mean to say that specific statement. Like, that's not what I meant." So there's one thing, that I try and be understanding on that. On the flip side too, is that I think that it's probably a good policy to have a no comment, let me get back to you, if you really are not up to date or informed on the situation. I think that that's actually a better route to take, and to really, and honestly come back around and make a statement. Because I think that all of these situations that you're dealing are very, very serious, and you can't just go off on emotion or on a hunch. You really need to make sure that you're looking at the facts. So I think it's important to be able to say that, I don't know, because I haven't, evaluated the situation quite yet, but we will be making a statement. Something along those lines where we know that our point or our stance on the issue is factual, or is based on facts, I should say.
There is somebody who always told us, "Wait, hey, we'll get back to you on that when we get more information." That's Tulsi Gabbard. You said she would make a good Secretary of State. Could you elaborate on why you think that?
Well, I think that, as I love her on most of her foreign policy. I think that she is very fact-driven from what I can see. I think that she's not quick to judge, and the fact that she's been in that position as a veteran to take the act of war seriously. And I think that we need to make sure that we have people in these seats that understand what war is and what the seriousness of acting in war. And I really do think that she has shown that she would be a very fact-driven leader. She has been. I think that for someone who, she's not perfect. I mean, she's not perfect, but who has been able to come around and be open about her mistakes and apologies, and very, I don't know, I just like that she's very factual, and I trust her in a seat of that role, because it does seem to me that she takes the military lives very, very seriously. And those are the ones who are affected by war, not these people who are sitting, behind a desk in DC.
Yeah.
So I think that that's very important in that role.
Yeah, specifically,
Secretary
I
of
mean, the
State.
cost of war and how it drives money away from our domestics. You can't separate it. What do you think about the latest situation between Sanders and Warren? For the longest time, many people have said Warren is an ally to Bernie Sanders, and some of us have disagreed. And now when she double smeared him, first accusing him of instructing the volunteers and the staff to trash her, and then saying that Bernie Sanders said a woman could not win the presidency. How do you feel about the situation, and how do you feel, how should we see her now?
Yeah. I think you just made a meme, too, when you drank that coffee all slowly.
We're
When asked about Elizabeth Warren and her comments of Bernie.
sips coffee.
Sips coffee.
Oh, like my heart rate, I felt it go up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I saw your face. Jeez.
It's gotten me very upset. I'm very angry. And being a candidate, you have to be very, you have to be careful with what you say and how you say it.
Absolutely.
So I want to make sure that before I say anything, I'm more in a more calm place.
Yes.
However, what I can say is that history speaks for itself. And when we see, people's words and actions, tend to match, and people's words and actions that don't tend to match, that really gives, your credibility. That's where your credibility stands. So I think that, as we can see, we have a hashtag on Twitter that's going crazy, which is, I trust Bernie.
Yeah.
So I think that it's very clear, and I think that it was a very big mistake that the Warren campaign did. I think that this is going to really affect things. I think that I'm very excited for tonight's debate.
Elizabeth Warren, she's been exposed. She exposed herself too, as well.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you staying calm over it, because I can see it upsetting you, because it was such a low blow. I mean, it was just awful to sit there and try to, of all people, to accuse Bernie Sanders of not wanting a woman for president.
I mean, it's just the same things as 2016 regurgitated in a different way, pretty much, is what I'm saying. Bernie Sanders, the I Trust Bernie is a good hashtag to refer to, because you can go back anytime in history and pretty much find a video of him doing the right thing and stay on the right side of justice. So I see that. There's another hashtag trending that's Refund Warren. And unfortunately for her, you're right. She made a mistake. A lot of people are standing against that.
Fam. If there was only a network that was calling her out from the get-go, if we only had a co-host by the name of Fiorella Isabel to say from the get-go, guys, this is the biggest problem over here. This is a red herring. They're pulling the wool over your eyes. I think he did it when it came to the registrations in California, too,
there's all
which
that.
we're experiencing. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this election turns out.
Yeah.
More than anything, I hope you don't get cheated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Because
let's hope
any
so.
establishment figure like a Tony Cardenas, like an Anthony Landon, they got their hands in the electorate. They got their hands in, Padilla's pockets. And,
Well, they're friends. I think
they
they
are-
might have gone to the same high school.
I mean,
That's wonderful.
seriously, this is gonna be scary.
We have to
but,
be all on the lookout. Is there anything that you guys are trying to do to get people out to specifically focus on voting and how to vote for you? Because maybe some of the people that voted for you last time were green. So how does that going to work?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely with the text messaging and emailing and keeping people in the loop. We're waiting. We haven't gotten the list of the official voting locations, so we're waiting for that.
Okay.
And that's going to be something major that we want to make sure that people know where to vote and when they're going to be able to vote, just because things are so different. People are used to voting at the same place for like their whole entire lives, and more than likely that location is no longer going to be it.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that people understand. And then get out the vote events, and we're planning on a couple of creative ways to try and get people to join us. And the cool part of it is that you can vote anywhere. So that's one thing that we want to also maybe use for
To your advantage.
for our advantage and to really encourage people to go out and vote. Maybe you can have like an event where everybody votes in one place and then comes and hangs out afterward. Different things that we can be doing since anybody can vote wherever. So we can all come and vote in Van Nuys, even though maybe you're from Sylmar, maybe you're from North Hollywood or something like that. So, things like that we're looking at, but we definitely want to wait till we get that official list, which is kind of concerning that it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
It's so
I
close.
know, right?
Exactly.
It's like I'm so scared about what's going on. What you pulled up too about the provisional ballots. It's scary. Let's just keep our eyes and ears open. And everybody have your phones nice and charged on these days. And just if you see anything, just record, and report.
Yeah, our last election, I had something funny happen where when I went to vote, and I voted for myself, including myself.
You voted for yourself? Oh my God.
And when I looked at the thing and I was like, oh, this doesn't look right. Did I do it wrong? And I'm like, I think I need another one. So I did another one. Then I just did just me. I'm like, let me just do me first. Boom. And on the book, I was doing everything right. But when you pulled out the paper, it was the Republican. The machine was like this.
Jeez.
So I was freaking out.
Yeah.
I told the person, they took the machine out of the, and what have you. But that was just that just so happened to be one machine that I so happened to be on.
And you noticed it.
And I noticed it, right?
Yeah.
So, you just never know. And now with it being all electronic,
Well, next week for candidate month, this time slot, we're going to have Ruben Major on, who ran against Padilla last time. I think you know him. He's running for mayor of Oceanside this time, and we're going to talk about these things because once again, I hope it's just fair enough that we can get your votes to get you in there and stuff. I sense there's going to be some cheating going on, especially when it comes to Tony Cardenas, Anthony Rendon, and his friends Padilla. Eyes have to be on them. Last question, we'll get you out of here. We're not running out here, and this is a tough one. Tell us how you feel about Julian Assange, his treatment, and what you think we should do for him going forward.
I think that Julian Assange is a hero. Okay. I think that we need to stand up and stand behind Julian Assange and the media, the free press. I think that this is more than just about Julian Assange. It's about literally our rights to information. Yeah. He needs to be pardoned. He needs to be released. Whatever needs to happen, he needs to be given the freedom. And I wholeheartedly support, any move to ensure that he's out and he's healthy. Because from what I'm hearing is that he's not in a good health state. So it's really concerning. And it's really, with Julian Assange and the other whistleblowers that we've been seeing in the last 4 years and the attack on the free press, I think it's very, very concerning. And I think that we need to make sure that we are protecting freedom of speech. Even with speech that we don't agree with. I think that when we saw Alex Jones get censored and people were very quick to okay, well, whatever, you have to make sure that, there was the poem with the hangman. They came for this guy and I kind of made my business. They came for this other one. And eventually they came for me and there was nobody to come, and defend me. Yeah. And I think that's where it comes down to, that we need to make sure that we're standing for the right things. It's not about what we're set on the issues. It's where are we standing on our freedoms and these greater issues. It's the big picture. Yeah. So we need to make sure that, as far as Julian Assange is concerned, that, we need to fight for his freedom. And, I think that WikiLeaks is something that has given us so many truth bombs that I think none of us have been able to fully digest it all. I think that we should be grateful to Julian Assange.
Wow. She hit it on the head.
I'm so happy when I see oh my God, you made me so happy. I'm warm inside. The only thing I would say to push back a little bit, it wasn't just Donald Trump who jailed a lot of these whistleblowers the last 4 years. Obama, a lot of them. He had a lot of lawyers in his cabinet.
Absolutely, you're right.
Yeah, yes. I think even when it comes to caging of children, Donald Trump has just picked up on the work of President Obama, and a lot of people have a hard time speaking that truth. Angelica. I called her Angela again. Angelica Duenas. Tell us where they can find you. We can give you a couple bucks.
Yes. Please check us out. Angelica4Congress.com. That's Angelica, the number 4, Congress.com /donate. You can find it a lot easier on the web, on your phone. It kind of gets a little funky. Just do the 3 little stripes on the top corner and that'll open up our issues and our donation page and how you can contact us in general. My phone number, you can text me, you can call me if you have any questions. We have no problem talking with our constituents and anybody who wants to share their ideas.
Yeah, and any endorsements you have thus far?
So far we've gotten Feel the Burn Los Angeles, Our Revolution Los Angeles, Our Revolution Santa Clarita, California Progressive Alliance.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean we've gotten quite a few. So we're very, very proud of the work that we've done so far, and we're pushing for a few of the national ones, which they're finally coming to their decision point. So we're hoping to hear back from a few of these.
That's awesome. And I've also seen like other congressional progressive candidates kind of reach out to each other, sort of kind of build like a co-endorsement, which I would also recommend, because you're one of those candidates that I think it would be easy to endorse as far as progressives go. So thank you for being here. We really love having you here. You're our local progressive congressperson. We would be thrilled to see you in Congress. So thank you so much, Angelica.
Thank you. Thank you for
amazing
having me.
candidate.
And
No
thank you
doubt.
for all the work that you guys do.
Oh, thank you so much.
We really do
Thank you.
appreciate it.
You're an amazing candidate. For Pasta Jardula,
And Fiorella Isabel.
Jonny Sue on the ones and two, and Angelica Duenas.
Duenas. California District 29 running to beat a neoliberal.
Yeah. Join us on Rockfin tonight for the debate. Live, Rockfin.
Combo out.
Thank you.
Bye.